Hey, Soul Sparklers, it's all happening.
With a soul sparkle.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soul Sparkle Living Show. I'm so excited to be joined by my sweet friend, Elysia Hartzell. Welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you. I'm here at night in
And
Hawaii.
gorgeous. You're
It's
glowing.
very
You're
dark.
glowing.
I'm glowing in these overhead lights, and you're in Greece in the morning.
I know. So what's so fun about being global is that you have to be really creative on when you could
do.
things. And it's already hard enough for me to manage the time zone between like the US, East Coast, and wherever I am in Europe. But trying to calculate like 13 hours, I'm like, okay, wait, if you get on at 7 p.m., that would be 8 a.m. my time. Didn't think about the jet lag that I would have. But
Well, I was impressed you did that in your head the other day.
yeah, well, it took a minute. And then I had to ask ChatGPT this morning. I'm like, I just want to confirm if it's 8 a.m. in Athens, what time is it in Oahu? It's 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. So anyway, we sorted it and we're here to
Here we are.
have you. Oh my goodness. So we go way back. What was it, like 2017, I think, that we initially connected?
I think so.
Met in
That's right.
2018, I think. And then we've just stayed in touch and followed each other's journeys this whole time.
Yeah,
And just recently moved back to your happy place on Oahu.
I did. I feel like I just got here, even though it's been 5 or 6 weeks, because I moved and then I had to leave immediately to host a retreat. And then now I've been back for a few days. So I'm just settling in and I'm really happy to be back here.
Well, welcome home. So exciting. You know, I remember when you were in Maui years ago.
Yeah.
I think you just moved back when we connected the first time. And you had this incredible experience there and like created an entire body of work that you have now brought into the world by being in that special location. And I'd love to kind of noodle a little bit around the importance of listening to your intuition around where you need to be in the world, because I think you and I both really live by that, the calling of where we need to be.
Yes. Yes. And isn't it interesting? And you probably know this better than anyone, but we can energetically connect to anything and anywhere. I fully believe that. But there is something that you can't get unless you're in a particular place, physically there.
Yeah.
And I for the first time when I lived in Maui, it was in 2016 and 2017. I got there through a lot of chaos and like just suddenly I had sort of made a deal with the universe that if I ended a relationship I was in, if that relationship ended, that I would move to Hawaii because I was really feeling called there and he didn't want to go there. And I kind of knew that was heading in that direction anyway. And so wouldn't you know it, like a month later, we broke up in a really dramatic way on a road trip across the country to move across the country. So on my drive back to Washington to stay with my best friend, because I had moved out of my house, put all my stuff in storage. I went and rented a house on Maui before I could chicken out. So a couple weeks later, my youngest daughter and I had 2 suitcases. I had never even been to Hawaii, moved there. And immediately I started receiving downloads of energy packets that very quickly became a modality that's been, what I've been known for the last 8 years, sacred soul alignment. And I received the foundation of that modality and started teaching it while I lived there. So that was pretty rewarding to follow my intuition and have that happen. And that's happened to me. I mean, I'm sure you have countless stories. That's happened to me so many times, following my intuition and also being in a particular space, a particular place. I've received so many different spiritual tools and technologies in Hawaii and in places like Mount Shasta. There's just something about connecting physically with a place.
Yeah, it's everything, isn't it? I absolutely get it. And I think what's funny is that sometimes I've had situations where I'll feel guided somewhere and I end up there and I go with the thought that it's going to be a certain thing or I'm going to be doing a certain thing.
Yeah.
And then it's a completely different reason. Like, I remember being in like really called to Paris. Like I need to be in France and it's going to be this like summer of sparkle and whatever, like all these things. And then I end up doing all this like other deep work and other things that were not what I intended, but it was exactly what I needed, at the time. It's just fascinating how we are always being guided. And if we're willing to listen, and not everyone has the opportunity to
No,
and go
no.
some.
But most people don't have the opportunity within 2 weeks time, that's unthinkable for most people.
Yeah, but I also feel like even if you're just there for a short period of time, you don't have to stay forever. You don't have to put your things in storage.
Right. You don't have to move there.
I mean, you can, but you don't have to. You're right. There is something so magical about being in the place on the land and not knowing really what you're there for, but just being open.
Yeah, without an agenda, which sometimes is hard in our humanness, not to have an agenda.
Yeah, because I think we try to have it all figured out. And I'm the same way. It's almost like the more I try to figure it out, the more dramatic the exit or the modification then has to be.
Right.
Like hold it loosely, Hayley. Like let it be easy and be guided to where exactly you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And holding it loosely, that can be tricky business because we're not naturally wired that way.
Right.
For me, the more that I have followed my intuition and my guidance and seen how things work out, even when I have no idea what's happening going into it, the more that's helped me surrender really and hold things loosely and let go of that agenda.
Right. It takes an incredible amount of trust and knowing that it always works out for you. Things always work out for you. And sometimes I have to remind myself, I'm like, remember, things always work out for me. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'm going to end up exactly where I need to be. And it's all going to be fine. And it's going to be exactly what it needs to be. And you're going to meet the people you need to meet along the way. And you're always going to end up exactly where you're meant to be. I do have a question around astrocartography. Have you ever had a reading for your astrocartography?
I have never had a reading, but I'm so fascinated by that. And I have an astrology software that has that option, but I don't know how to read it myself.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I find it really fascinating.
Well, I have a very slim knowledge about it, but I am fascinated by it as well. And for anyone that's listening, if you are curious about where you're meant to be in the world, if you are considering a shift or a change, it might be worth checking that out because what it does is gives you places along ley lines, basically around the world for what is in the highest and best for you based on what you're desiring. So if it's financial abundance and, that type of thing, there's a certain line that goes through or love and connection, relationship. So it's really interesting where you need to be based on your astrology. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
And then there's other places where it's like there is no benefit for you. You could check in on those places before you move there. I've done that before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
I
way
mean,
I
that
know.
would be amazing if that was common knowledge. I mean, you could even just plan a vacation or a trip to go to that place and reap whatever it has to offer you.
Exactly. Yeah, because then you have at least a little bit of wisdom and then you make decisions and choices based on where you want to be.
Yeah.
I
I'm
feel
in
like
meeting, although I'm here now.
you're aligned exactly where you need to be. And I think me too, I'm in Crete right now, which is also my happy place. So I feel like there's always something for me here, which is so beautiful. I think there's also something so healing about being near the water and being in a place that soothes your nervous system. With everything that's going on in the world right now, I think people need more calm and more peace and more ease. A place that soothes your soul is so important.
Yeah, for sure. Feel my absolute best when I'm by the ocean. And I have been that way my whole life. I was born in Southern California. In fact, my dad was surfing when my mom went into labor and they couldn't find him. We moved to the Pacific Northwest and I didn't live near the ocean for, a long time, but near water. I am at the ocean and especially when I can get in the ocean when it's warm enough, like here it's warm enough, it's 80-degree water in the ocean. I feel transformed and it's amazing. For me, that's my happy place.
Me too. And I feel like when we find the thing that does it for us, for me, it's like when I can see mountains and the water at the same time, like that right now in Crete, it's so beautiful. I just want to sit outside and just stare at it because there's something that is so inspiring, I think, by as well. And I think we underestimate the power of our environment. And once we shift into more of the place that we need to be, we become more of who we're meant to be, like the
Yeah.
fullest expression, right? Like
Yeah.
we're inspired to create, we're inspired by God, by creation itself. And I think we've been taught that maybe it's only for vacation or it's only for this. And what if we just redesigned our lives to where we could be in a place that lights us up? Like go where you glow. Where do you glow?
Where you glow. I love that. Go where you glow. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's not what we're taught. You know, we're
Right.
taught that you trudge along in life and do the hard things and that that's what pays off. But that's
It does.
not where the magic is.
No, it's not. And I think what I always have loved about, being in touch with you, and we spent a magical time in Montana together a few years ago during a particularly hard time in the world, right? And we left that little magic portal and both flung ourselves into these new beautiful timelines. And it's
Yeah.
just
We did.
to be able to have conversations about things that may not be mainstreamish, I guess, if you will, but I think are becoming more and more so.
Yeah.
And believing that magic is possible and is available when you believe it.
Yeah. It's so freeing to have a friend or a person that you can talk about these things with and say things that the average person would have no idea what you mean, or think that you're crazy, or
Right.
it's so special to have those friends. We can do that. We can say whatever that is the wildest thing out there, and the other one's like, yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, makes
get it.
perfect sense to me. And what I think is fun is I feel like more and more people are opening up to new ways of being, new ways of thinking. They're broadening
Sure.
For sure.
their reality really, and understanding that there are a lot of things that maybe that we've been taught that aren't actually real, that aren't actually true.
Yeah.
And there's so much more possible for us when we allow ourselves to step into, whatever you want to call it, the vortex, sometimes I call it the magic carpet ride, it depends. But I think when you allow yourself to be guided in such a way that, like we said, true trust, true surrender, and believing that whatever is meant for you will never miss you. It's such a beautiful way to do life. Beautiful way.
And you embody that more than anyone I think I know. It's it's beautiful to witness.
Well, it's not easy,
No.
Yeah. Like I said before we started recording, that sometimes I feel like I'm on the merry-go-round and I got flung off mid-ride, but I also trust that if I'm being redirected, it's for a reason, whether it's comfortable or not. And we
Yeah.
have trust in those moments as well, not just in the magic ones, but in the ones that
Yeah.
feel sticky and messy and painful.
Exactly. And a lot of times the redirection isn't what we want, but if
Right.
we trust it, and down the road, looking back, we'll be able to see, okay, I was being guided to this, which I never would have had this experience had I not trusted.
Right. And I think I can already, hindsight's always 2020, right? When you're in it, you're like, what is going on? But I can already look back on the last 6 months and then the previous 6 months. I'm like, oh, got it. That all had to happen so I could get to this moment and then have this I'm calling this the great excavation, the last 6 months of my life since the last eclipse portal, clearing out anything, like truly anything that was not love, that is anything less than love, wherever there was grief or neglect or indifference or anything truly that is not meant to go into this new chapter with me is gone. Not comfortably, by the way.
And it very rarely is comfortable. Those expeditions are very rarely comfortable, but the reward is enormous.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting too, the timing, because, eclipse season is always powerful and an opportunity to redirect and pivot and be be picked up and taken somewhere else, like on a whole different sometimes. And that's really where we are right now. And I think
Yeah.
this particular one is even more powerful. Don't you feel?
Yeah.
It definitely feels more powerful. I feel more connected tangibly to the energy of this eclipse portal than I have in a very long time.
Yeah. And I think for anyone that's listening, are opportunities that we have. And right now is definitely, I would say, an opportunity to refine the vision, to clear and purge whatever is no longer serving our highest and best. And I'm curious, Elysia, do you have any suggestions for those that might be in the messy middle and not sure what what the next step is, what are some things that you would suggest maybe that they do?
Yeah. When you're in, I like that term, the messy middle.
Mhm.
The number one thing I would say is don't shy away from it. Let
Yeah.
yourself be in it, but don't wallow in it. You know, there's a difference. Feel it. Like what I try to do when I'm having a painful experience is I will just, welcome it in. Like what is here? What is it that I need to feel and process and dial it up like as much as I can and then let it go as
Right.
quickly as I can. So be in it, but don't wallow in it. That's what I mean. And,
Yes.
that's such a beautiful opportunity also to get really, really clear on what you want. When we're
Mm.
experiencing what we don't want, it's super easy to get clear on what we want because the contrast is there.
Yeah. I love that
Yeah.
word, contrast. And I think for me too, it's been an opportunity to be like, wow, one experience might be a reminder of what's possible. And then you contrast that with what you had. You're like, okay, now it's clear. Now it's so much
Yeah.
more clear and so much easier to release the other thing because now you know what's possible and what's available.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And I've spent a lot of time, not much so recently, but in the past in that space of just feeling like you're in this deep dark hole, and there's no light, there's no way out. And that's when I created, that's my catalyst for actually creating all the tools that I've created, the modalities that I've created. And I rely heavily on those tools when I'm in
Right.
those moments. Now they're fleeting moments. They
Right.
used to be months and years of time. Now they're hours,
Yes.
days, once in a while, So that's what I would also say is if you have an energy practice, a healing practice, if you have tools to rely on, use those tools. Because sometimes when we're in it, we forget that we
Right.
have a way to get out of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of the journey is when you can, I like to say, consolidate the suffering, right? So instead of it dragging, I mean, sometimes it drags and it needs to sometimes, right? Because anytime you go through big transitions, there's a need for repair, on some level.
Yeah.
But to me, that part of the work that I love to do with my clients too is consolidate the suffering. So if we're going to get in it, let's get in it, do the
Yeah.
thing and move forward as quickly as it's healthy and available because then you can get on with the business of what you're here to do.
Yeah. I'm 100% all about let's get it done quickly and effectively and move on to the next to the goodness.
Yeah. And I think what we're called to do now is, at least for me, it's okay, we've done the heavy lifting, we've done the depth and the soul searching and the excavation, if you will. And now it's time to bring more joy and more
Yeah.
light and
Yeah.
more love. And I think the new frequency that we're anchoring for the new earth is one. Well, first of all, unconditional love and grace, like for sure, but also a lightness of spirit that we can anchor in because that's where we're headed, away from
Yeah.
the dark and the heaviness and into the light and the
Yeah.
joy. Don't you feel that?
Completely. What's happening right now in the world is that contrast that we were just talking about, where we
Mhm.
can see it everywhere we look. And those of us, if you're listening, you probably are one of those who could see the good and the light and the joy
Yeah.
also. And sometimes and that's the space I live in and live from most of the time. And so to me, when I look around and I see all this chaos and just darkness, for
Right.
lack of a better word, it's like I feel confused because that's not my experience.
Right.
And so those of us who are, feeling that contrast and moving towards all of what we're creating, what we've been creating collectively for longer, much longer than you or I have been around in
Right.
this lifetime, we can feel that. And you may feel that same way too, where it's like it's confusing to look around and be like, everybody around here is miserable, like what's going on in the world.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing I feel that is really important for all of us to understand is that we're all not here to do the same thing.
Yes.
So to me, what's really important is to be true to the calling of your own soul. And it's not that our hearts are not broken open. I mean, I live in a place where
No.
I'm broken most of the time.
Yeah.
I focus on bringing something positive to the world. I hope that I bringing positive things. That's the intention. But trusting that just because we don't appear to be either speaking about everything or in it,
Yeah,
that doesn't mean we don't care. Just
exactly.
our job is to hold the frequency of the higher holy realm, like the next level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that can be confusing and it can be hard in our human skin to not want to talk about all the things and do all the things, but we can't live in that world and also create the new one.
No, and I learned that early in 2020. I learned very quickly what my role was, and if I wasn't living from that, then the thread started to unravel. And I wasn't able to hold that light and anchor that light for people. And being, like you said, not speaking about certain things, or it doesn't mean we're not affected by them. I feel deeply affected by the things that are happening in the world, but I just have a different perspective of where we're going than so many people that I come in contact with, every day. And I think it's also important not to let yourself feel guilty for accepting your role and knowing what your role is and doing that, not to feel guilty if you're not the one who's speaking out on every platform against something specific that's happening in the world. You're just holding that space and anchoring that light for the people around you, or vice versa. If your role is to be that truth teller, or that person that speaks out and gets the word out there for whatever it is, don't feel guilty that you're not the one that's sitting there holding space and, doing the other thing.
Absolutely. And I think the other piece of that is not judging other people for whatever it is that they're doing. Yeah. That's a
That's
big,
huge. Yeah.
because again, when we talk about, the scale of consciousness, it's like guilt, shame, judgment, anger, rage, all of those are
Bottom.
that if you are, answering your call and doing your thing, then let everyone else do their thing as well and just let it be.
Yeah.
Where I struggle being in social media and in the online space is that there's so much of that. It's like guilt, shame, judgment, guilt, shame, judgment. I'm like, oh my God, okay, what if you just be you and let everyone else be them? And as soon as we stop judging each other, we stop judging ourselves too, which is
Yeah.
such a beautiful moment of revelation when you realize that you don't have to live that way. You don't have to judge and shame other people. And
Yeah.
including you and everyone around you, right? Because what is it, 750,000 people that we affect if we're in love or above?
Yes. It's not an amazing
I
statistic.
love it so much. And I've often thought, okay, so circling back to what we spoke about earlier around going where you feel called to be and not being sure why.
Yeah.
I have realized now, after 10 years of doing my life this way, and times, but for this particular part of the journey, this traveling adventure thing, knowing that wherever I am, I'm activating and I'm creating a frequency wherever I am. And if
Yeah.
the frequency of unconditional love, I am affecting 750,000 people that are around me.
Yeah.
It's remarkable to think about
Yeah.
it. And I think it's
Yeah.
so fascinating why so many people are being called to new places or to travel or to even, like we said, even vacation. Like for some reason, your heart is calling you to a place. It's because you need to go there.
Yeah.
Do anything specific.
Right.
Just being there
Yeah.
is the frequency of the place.
Right. We are transmitters of energy, and we're transmitting, whatever it is that we're embodying, that we're holding. And so absolutely. I've never actually hadn't really dialed it in that quite that way, to think of it quite that way. I love that.
Isn't it fun? Because then it doesn't have to make sense. And
Yeah.
sometimes we, again, our sweet human selves, we think, well, if I go to this place, what do I need to do? What's the thing? What's the ritual? Sometimes it's just, you just need to be there and you need to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
And you
you're
need that.
literally spreading that love to everyone in that place, because 750,000 people is a lot of people. I'm gonna have to look up how many people live on Oahu, but I think it's around 1 million. If I can be consistently transmitting that frequency, that potentially changes something for the entire population of the sun.
Yeah. So if we think about the power that we have to affect people just by who we are being, to me, first of all, it takes a lot of pressure off of
Mhm.
figuring out in your brain well, I've got to do this and have this and be this. It's literally just be loving and be kind. And almost like E.T., in the movie when he's
Yeah.
flying in the air with his little heart lit up, just have your heart lit up and walk through
Yeah.
life that way and just love people. I find it fun. I don't know if you do this, but when I'm traveling or flying and I'm walking through airports, I just like look at people and be like, I love you. Like beam little light beams at them.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, just like sending people
Yeah.
love. Yeah, and compassion.
Because I think too, what's cool about that is, first of all, it always comes back, and you always feel connected to people. And I think as we go through what I'm calling like the bifurcation, the splitting of timelines, the more that we can connect with other people through our heart center, not our beliefs and ideas and all of the
Yeah.
things, like through our heart and through our love and our grace. I feel like that's going to allow for a more easeful transition for all of us versus continuing to be divided, continuing to be fighting amongst, all the opportunities for fighting that are available right now. If we can just come from that place of love, pure love, just for who you are. And that to me is what's going to shift more people into this higher timeline of this heaven on earth vibe that we're creating.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't create it in our minds. It has to be created in our hearts. So the
Yeah.
more people that learn how to be in their heart, the faster that's going to happen.
That's
And
what's
we
going
want
to
this to happen. Let's get the show on the road.
totally. I mean, it's happening whether they're on the bus or not, right? So we put people on the bus
Yeah.
and I think what's beautiful too about a lot of the work that you do, it is from the heart, from the higher self, from the higher mind, and the mind of God and the will of God and heart of creation and all those teachings that you help people access through the modalities and the healing technology that you've created.
Yeah, it's all about the heart. It's the heart is our entry point to everything, to the quantum field, to, that heaven energy. It's all in the heart.
And it's so much more powerful than I think we've ever been taught. Like that's truly where the magic lies. The brain is just in service to the heart.
And that's true. I mean, that's literally scientifically true. Actually, Heart Math Institute has done a lot of research, and Dr. Joe Dispenza has done a lot of research on that the brain actually follows the heart, the coherence. When you really focus on your heart and your breath and bringing your heart rhythm into coherence, it naturally brings your brain rhythm into coherence. So that's actually, science backed, that we really benefit from that.
And for people that are listening that are interested in that whole concept, which I find it fascinating to me, and I've talked about this for years, like where science and spirituality connect, that's my jam. Like,
Too.
and how you can use spiritual technology to really shift not only the trajectory of your life, but like your whole entire reality and experience. And deep healing can come just from focusing and it's this coherence that you're speaking about. Would you suggest people that are listening, if they want to dive into that a little bit, probably following Dr. Joe and maybe following a little bit of the research for Heart Math as well?
Yeah, Dr. Joe is such a wealth of information. He speaks in such a grounded way. I love Dr. Joe, Greg Braden also, and the Heart Math Institute. They all three of them, and Bruce Lipton. They're really the
Yes.
only sort of spiritual people, like spiritual teachers that I really even follow or listen to anymore. The three of them.
Do you know William Henry? He's one of my favorites.
No, I don't. I'll have to look him up.
So William Henry, yes, he's really a beautiful soul, and he's based in Nashville, and he does a lot of work in the Mary Magdalene vibes and the history of sacred art and all kinds of things. And I've been doing a lot of work with him around the robes of light. We might have to talk about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look him up.
Light, yeah. So you talk about, when you are called to places and you get certain teachings. So last time that I was in Crete, that was one of the things that came through. It's around golden flame of illumination and this golden realm of light. And so now part of what I'm going to be teaching moving forward, it's called Luminous. And it's really about creating like walking temples of light. Like we can all really truly embody this almost as we move from our carbon-based body to the crystalline light body, right? We can emanate more light, which is what we need to be doing, right? And so the teachings help clear and purify and help you step fully into that crystalline light body. Isn't that fun?
It's beautiful. We're gonna have to talk more about that
I
later.
think,
I
yeah.
want to hear more about that.
Yeah. And it's all around frequency too. And
Yeah.
oh, and I told you about the clothing collection.
Yes, yes,
Totally nerding out on the frequency of fabrics. And I think it's
Yes.
how we can truly shift our entire reality and experience and frequency based on what we're wearing,
I know. It's really amazing.
And it came from a period of time where I was wearing too many like synthetic fabrics. And I'm like, this is not working for me. It's not working for my skin. And I started to shift what I was wearing and then went totally deep into it. And I was like, well, now I have to create a whole clothing line and bedding. If you think about in the, back in the day, hospitals would use linen sheets because of the healing frequency. Like that went away. And so now I'm on a mission. Everyone needs linen. You need to be sleeping
Yeah.
and you need to be wearing predominantly linen clothing or cashmere. They're both the highest frequency at 5,000. But if
Yeah.
it's comparison, rayon and polyester are like -20.
Okay, so they're draining our energy. Yeah, I recently got rid of all of, well, I had cotton sheets before, and bamboo, but I got rid of all of them because we got a new bed and I got all linen sheets and they
Mhm.
just feel delightful. I love sleeping in the linen sheets and it's hot here. So at first we were like, these feel kind of heavy, are they gonna be too hot?
It makes
But yeah, I can feel a difference sleeping every night in linen sheets. So I can't wait for your clothing selection.
I'm so excited. And you just feel so lovely. And it's remarkable what just making a slight change in just what you're wearing is going to make such a difference. And when I was studying Kundalini yoga, we talked a lot about wearing white.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, okay, white linen is the vibe because that would be just no matter what else you're doing, you're going to feel amazing by
Yeah.
on every day. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that's the ultimate.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that.
Pretty soon we'll be decked out in all white linen and wearing nothing else.
That's it. And I see that for humanity. Like everyone is going to just shift completely and
Yeah.
shift the way we're eating. I don't know about you, but the way I'm eating has completely changed already.
Yeah.
And I'm just going with it because I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to listen to my body
Yeah.
and allow whatever I'm feeling like I need and eat intuitively, which I've done that for a long time, but now even more so. And I don't know about you, but I think we're going to continue to see a lightening, less dense food, less heavy food, less richness, and more light filled.
Yeah. And more alive food. Recently, I've been making a lot of fermented things. I've been fermenting everything. And it's really fun. It's like a science project, but it also makes me feel really good to eat it. Because it's alive.
You have less appetite, like when you eat
Way less appetite, way less. I've just been doing this for a couple of weeks now since I got here to Hawaii and got into and like fermented my first cabbage and then it just took off. Like my whole kitchen is a fermenting project now. But yeah, I've totally noticed that. I just don't want those things that might not be so good for my body anymore.
It's so interesting. I was in the same place, for a few months, and probably the last 2 months, all I've wanted, like the only thing that sounded good is broccoli, like broccoli and cashews. And for every day, for probably 6 to 8 weeks, I've had broccoli and cashew with really high-end olive oil, really great like pink sea salt and a little bit of butter. And that's all I want to eat. And I'm like, what is wrong? But I'm like, okay, it's fine. But here's the cool thing too, is like calorie for calorie, broccoli has more protein than chicken. So it's working. I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I feel great. So I'm just going to go with it. So now I'm in Crete. I need to find the broccoli on Crete so I can get back on my program. I do want to say that for anyone that's listening, if you are feeling a shift in the way you want to eat or nourish yourself, you're not alone and you're not crazy. And there's a lot of us that are, again, just shifting into a different way of nourishing our body. And I also feel like more and more need for sunshine, like daily light, sunshine, vitamin D, etc. So if you're able to get outside and get a little more sunlight every day, not only is it good for your well-being, your mind, your mood, but also your body as well. No sunscreen.
Especially first thing in the morning. It's really good for your cortisol levels to get some sunlight within 30 minutes of waking up. And that's super easy for me to do now versus when I lived in Washington, and sometimes we would be months without seeing the actual sun. So I'm grateful
Oh,
for that.
I could never do it. I'm solar powered. And that's so clear to me now. It's really clear to me now when I go days without it, it it does affect us. And I think it
Yeah.
affects more people more than they would like to think. And then you think, well, who would I be if I could move more and eat healthier and get sunshine every day and be by the water? I just think we're underestimating how happy we can be when we find the right place. Just to circle this whole thing back to now that you're in your happy place, I'm in my happy place. The more people that can find that in the world, wouldn't that just be incredible?
Yeah, that would be amazing if everyone had that. But
Yeah, even in short windows of time, better than not having it, right? Goodness. Okay, so as we close out this conversation, Elysia, is there any other thing or wisdom or advice that you'd like to share on where we're headed and what would be in the highest and best for people to know at this time?
well, I'm in agreement with you that we're headed into this, heaven on earth that we've been creating. Those of us, who are aware of that, we know that that's happening and it's exciting. And I think just to kind of sum up this whole conversation, the importance of following your inner guidance and your intuition and believing, like you always say, I love what you always say, what's meant for you will never miss you. And believing that even when you're in the middle of that muck and that mud, trusting that you're being guided into the direction that you are meant to go and that you will come out of that on the other end, and being and staying in your heart as much as you possibly can.
That's it. I think that's everything. It truly is. And I think it's definitely the time to go within, to look internally, not externally. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing because it doesn't matter. Yes, we're on a collective journey, of course, but we're also on our own individual path. And the sooner we can listen to what we're supposed to be doing, the calling of our own soul, and follow that versus look and see what everyone else is up to, because it doesn't
I think
matter.
that, yeah, and I think that's more important now than ever
Truly.
because we're being bombarded with messages all around us that we have to be a certain way, live a certain way, think a certain way, or, we're out. And a lot of that goes against what many of us might feel or think or do, in our own personal self. So I think it's more important now than ever in my lifetime that I've ever seen to really focus on your truth. And the way to get to that is in the heart.
I love it. Okay. So I feel like we could have like 17 of these conversations, but I'm so thankful to have been able to spend this time with you today. Elysia, thank you so much for being here. And for all of you that are tuning in, if this was a benefit, we'd love for you to leave a review and share it and join us on the next episode.
Thanks, Hayley.
Thank you.
With a soul sparkle.